What's up, people? Rasa here in Singapore, and as always, thank you so much for everything you guys do. Your comments, your feedback, your likes, your shares, all that really matters to me. Y'all being on the Night Owl podcast, whether you've been here for the first time, you've been here for a while, you've gone and come back, after a little bit of a break, whatever the case may be, I appreciate your time, your attention, that little bit of your life that you're spending on me. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. I continue making content mostly because I want to put it out there how I feel about certain situations. I think that's something that, mental health counselors and institutions fall short on a lot of times. They will say that they can help you, but they won't tell you how they feel about certain issues, mostly because they don't want to upset people. They don't want to drive away anyone. They want to look inclusive until you get up and close and personal with a counselor themselves, and then you deal with another human. The counselor is human, okay? Don't knock the fact that they're going through their own storm at the same time as helping you. But the point is, they're supposed to be professional enough where they don't bring their drama into your session. They're supposed to focus on you, right? So with that being said, I want to talk about this idea that I have always had in the back of my head. I don't always follow it because, yes, I'm human, but I try my best to kind of, push it wherever I can. It's this quote from Sonia Choquette. Choquette, that says, "My teacher taught me that whatever I fear most, go there first." Now, it's not easy to do, okay? Obviously, to follow your fear is not something we're trained to do. We're supposed to run away from any noise that startles us, not go and investigate, creepy stuff that's only in the movies where, people always go upstairs and follow the weird sounds or whatever. But usually what we're taught to do is shy away from anything that scares us, right? Because in old caveman times, anything that scared us was meant to keep us alive longer. That's basically it. Nervous system built for your survival. You avoid anything that causes pain that you know will end in death or anything related to fear. You just avoid it at all costs because that is the way you stay alive. But if you think about it, the only way to overcome fear is to face it. The only way to overcome anything that scares you is to try it once with a guided hand or support, and then as you realize that there's not so much to be afraid of, you continue doing it until it's no longer a fear, right? It's the reason people have coping mechanisms like OCD. The first time that a friend of mine had, unfortunately it's happened several times to them, the first time that someone broke into their house, this friend of mine freaked out to the point that she wasn't sure if she could be home by herself anymore. And so she had to figure out what she needed around her to feel safe. And so she added a couple more locks on the door. And so she would lock and unlock the locks on her door. She had 3 total, right? She would lock and unlock in a specific pattern to where she felt safe. It was her way of doing something active, taking control in her situation, doing something active where she could feel better about a scary situation. Because if someone breaks into your home and you don't have the capability to move to a different place right away, right? If you don't have the money to do that, how do you make sure that you're safe? Some people, if they have the money, will get a security system. But for us regular everyday Joes, a lock is pretty much the best we can do, and even that costs some money. So she had 3 locks. She locked and unlocked in a specific order so that she felt better about it. And some people would say that is obsessive and it's weird and it's not normal behavior, but guess what? That gave her a semblance of control and peace and safety. So she did what she had to do. Okay? But that was the only way that she could face the fear of being in that same house by herself because it's been broken into. Her space was violated, her safety was violated. And how do you make do with that stuff? Same thing with, unfortunately, with people who are taken advantage of sexually or physically abused. How do you feel safe in that situation? You have to do something because it's a volatile situation. You don't know how to react or respond. With sexual abuse, you struggle to find a way to trust the sex of the abuser. In general, you're going to generalize because that's what your nervous system does. Oh my gosh, all women work this way, or all men want this thing, or all people of this race maybe behave a certain way because that was the race of my perpetrator. This is how I'm trying to make sense of the world. So now I'm going to avoid all of this just to make sure that I don't get in the same situation again. All of those things are coping mechanisms for us to feel safe again. A lot of us have a tough time feeling safe in our bodies because we can't change the way our body looks, the way our body moves. We can't help the way that we clothe ourselves. No matter what we do to clothe ourselves, we can't cover enough, or we don't cover well. We don't cover the way we want to. We can't avert people's gaze. It's very, very disconcerting. And a lot of times we do the best we can to face that fear. So yes, the best way to move forward in life is to face your fears. Whatever I fear the most, I should go there first, but sometimes it's not an easy place to go to. Sometimes there's a lot of emotion tied to that one place. I'll give you an example. I was molested as a child by someone everyone trusted, right? Family member, everyone trusted. And for a long time, I blocked it out of my mind because I didn't want it to be true. I wanted to pretend that it wasn't true because I wanted the respect and admiration of this person so badly. And so I pretended it didn't happen. And I blocked it and blocked it and blocked it. And I put aside all those feelings, and I tried my best not to regard my sexuality, because when it happened, it was before puberty. And as puberty happened, I was still struggling with being seen, not being seen. Do I want the attention, not want the attention? I'm not sure. But my first interaction with a boy actually threw all of those memories back in my face. Because suddenly I was put in a position to do something that I did not want to do. But because I didn't want to be seen as a coward, I didn't want to be seen as a prude, I wanted the affection and respect of this one person, I did something I did not want to do. I went along with it. And unfortunately, it brought back all these memories. All these memories came flooding back, and suddenly I had to deal with the thing that I feared the most. To tell someone that this happened. And to deal with the fact that I was ridiculed and judged and told that I was making things up. I was resented for speaking up. I was questioned, interrogated. I was shunned. And I had to deal with all of that by myself. But guess what? I wouldn't take it back. The confrontation I would not take back at all, because if I hadn't gotten it out of my system, it would still be playing around, ping-ponging in my head about whether it was real or not, whether I was a coward or not, whether I was the only one or not, whether there was something defective about me that made me a target or not. In order for most of us, and this is something I'm teaching in my shadow work course, in order for most of us to move beyond the pain and the suffering that we've been through, is not for us to avoid it, but for us to find somewhere that we can be safe to talk about it, so we can examine the components and rebuild ourselves from that place of fear, that place of, I am defective somehow. There's something wrong with me, and that's why this happened to me. There's something that, somebody saw as a weakness in me, and that's why this happened to me. There's something I did that caused this. Nothing. No one. The fear keeps us stuck in a lot of ways, and for us to evolve and move forward, we have to muster up the courage to sit with the fear and look at all the aspects of it. Sometimes it's the retelling of the story over and over again. I would never take back the fact that I came clean and confessed, or, unburdened myself and let people know that this is what happened, this is what I remember. I would never change that chain of events that happened from that one confession. Because 30 years later, I finally had the courage again to face my abuser and tell them what was what. Not because I needed an apology, not because I needed them to accept that this is what they did. I didn't need them to acknowledge what they did. I needed them to understand that I will never look at you the same. I will not treat you the way your status in our family commands. I will be polite, I will be courteous. But you will stop expecting love and admiration and respect from me. I will give you respect that I give people on the street, but I will not profess love, give you a hug, come say goodnight, ask for anything, because I no longer feel the need to have your approval. And that was a big step for me. If I hadn't confessed 30 years prior, it shouldn't have taken me that long either, but I wouldn't have found the courage to do what I had to do, finally, to let it all go, to let it not bother me anymore. And part of it was because I continued telling my story to strangers who I knew would not judge me, because I couldn't tell anyone that knew me. I couldn't tell anyone that knew this person. I couldn't tell anyone that was related, because they simply would not understand. They simply would not feel like it was appropriate for our culture to do something about it. And that's unfortunately how my culture is, but I had to face the fear so that it would no longer control me. I had to be able to go there first in order for me to put it away completely. It will always be a part of my story. It will always be a part of me. It always, it will continue to affect the way I regard the world. But now I know where it's coming from, and I know what I need to do to put myself back into balance. I no longer need fear those kinds of people. I need no longer fear how I walk through this world. I can start to take back my life a little bit. And yes, it's a little bit more evident when it comes to sexual abuse, but it goes for everything. If I am afraid, in a previous episode I talked about self-promotion, if I'm afraid of self-promotion, I need to dig into why I'm afraid of self-promotion. What does it mean to self-promote? What does it mean to talk about myself? Is there something actually bad, or is it something I was told that was bad? Is it something that I can overcome? And that's, dealing with whose rules and where the rules come from, that's another episode altogether, but I need to dig into why I'm afraid so that I can put it away and stand tall and feel good about myself again. I hope this helped you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.